Hello, hello, everyone. It is so good to see you today. My name is Katina Morrison. I am the CEO of Nurse Loves Essentials, a registered nurse BSN, and I'm currently a student achieving my executive MBA. And today, I'm also the president of the Inflamed Sisters Thriving nonprofit. And today, I have with me the amazing Natalie Rosado. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, hi. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be a part of this. As you mentioned, Katina, my name is Natalie Rosado, and I am a licensed mental health counselor. And I have been practicing, I want to say now for about 14, 15 years in the Tampa Bay area. And I also have a group practice in Tampa as well called Tampa Counseling Place.
Yes, and Tampa Counseling Place is doing amazing things for our community. Can you tell me about the types of things services people can receive there?
Yes, yeah. Thanks so much for saying that, Katina. We are actually really excited about some of the services that we offer. One of the things that is really dear to me, really close to my heart, is diversity and accessibility. And so, those are two components that I wanted to make sure that I included as the founder and owner of the practice when building the group practice. And so, I wanted to make sure that that kind of infiltrated various areas of the practice, from the types of clinicians that we bring in to their backgrounds, experiences, educational levels, even the rates. And so we have a variety of rates that we offer as well. So we have everything from a graduate student. I'm linked with USF, Walden University, and Troy University as sites where they send a lot of their students to me, all the way to clinicians that have really been practicing for about 25 plus years. And so I like to think that we have clinicians that really offer a variety of services and experiences to really meet the needs of our community. So, specifically, I would say that we tend to see a lot of clients come through that tend to identify with the words trauma, relationship problems, marital concerns, anxiety, depression, mood disorders, things like that. So that tends to kind of be our niche. But I would say, really, we see a number of clients that really fall over the spectrum.
hmm I appreciate that, and also the fact that you are allowing people to have access to things that they can, you're making mental health and wellness more accessible, and you also have a diverse group of professionals that are working within your Tampa counseling place
Mhm.
within it. So I that's also one of the reasons that what attracted me to you. And I'm so glad that we came in contact. I believe we came in contact through Instagram.
Mhm.
And in doing when I saw your page and realized it said Tampa Counseling Place, I said, "Oh my, she is in my area, so
Ah,
I need to connect with her." So I was so happy to really see someone in our area who is doing a lot for our community. You also do a lot on the philanthropic side of things as well
mhm.
for the community. And one of those things that you're doing is also supporting my nonprofit, the Inflamed Sisters Thriving Incorporated, that the event that will be taking place on January the 8th from 11:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. this Saturday. That's our vision board, Set the Vision to Thrive vision board and mental health workshop. And I was excited to have, like I said, someone from our area be able to participate, and especially someone who is has the experience and knowledge that you have as well. So when we did this, set up this live, one of the things that we wanted to do was give people a little taste of what to expect this weekend, but also to provide them knowledge of ways in which they can recognize how mental health and wellness really correlates with us achieving our goals. It's the beginning of the year, so it's important for us to set the vision to thrive beyond 2024.
Mhm.
So, one of the questions I had for you as an expert, how would you say or that mental health or mental well-being is correlated to a person's physical health and well-being?
Oh, that's a great question. I love that question. So, one of the things that actually I'll self-disclose a little bit here, if that's okay. So,
Mhm.
a few years back, was feeling extremely fatigued, and I just couldn't quite figure out why. And so I started researching, which as a provider, we tend that's like the number one thing we tend to tell our clients not to do. But I did, I started Googling and looking up on like WebMD and those kinds of websites to really try to
Mhm.
figure out like what is it that's causing this. And I already had a therapist that I was going to and speaking to personally. And so I knew it wasn't necessarily an emotional component, but I couldn't quite figure out what it was. So I landed on this training that was specifically for therapists, and it was titled Integrative Mental Health. And it just the terminology itself just really kind of intrigued me.
Mhm.
So I clicked on it, I signed up for it, and honestly, if I'm being transparent, I didn't really know the ins and outs of the training, but I just knew that I was drawn to it for some reason. And so as I completed the training and really the certification in the end, I was absolutely like I entered into this whole new world of mental health where it was beginning to kind of put what I found to be the missing pieces together.
Mhm.
And it began to explain what now I think we're beginning to see in our society, which is a lot of the providers, so medical providers, mental health providers, and a few other fields, we were practicing solo for so long. And so a lot of clients were beginning to feel a bit confused. They would go to speak to their counselor and then speak to their doctor, PCP, and then maybe go to a chiropractor, and would kind of get different kinds of information. And so they didn't really know what direction they were supposed to go to for their overall health. But this specific training was talking about the importance of integrating everything together and how those components really actually fit nicely together. And so this specific training was talking about how specifically our nutrition and our physical health come together nicely to overall impact our mood. And so I learned a lot about the ins and outs of the different things that we can do to improve our physical health, the nutritional aspects of food and how that boosts our overall mood, supplements that you can take. And it really was just such an eye opening experience. And so that led me on my own personal journey to kind of begin to incorporate some of that, which really helped with my fatigue and just tiredness and sluggishness. And then, of course, I integrated that into my practice, and now we have a nutritionist. But so I say all of that to say that sometimes we address one issue in isolation, and we're kind of fixing some of that, but really what we're doing is kind of putting a band-aid over it because there are some other pieces there that we're not addressing. And so we're addressing some pieces of the wound, but not necessarily really addressing all of the components of the wound there. And so when you're able to address your mental health and physical health, and then a few other components that are an integral part of our overall well-being, you really are looking at the whole person in a collective piece, and you're able to nicely address some of those components in totality. So yeah, so it's kind of a long answer to just kind of answer your question there about really some of those pieces, nicely kind of come together. So for example, with the physical health component, there's something that happens, for example, when one person begins to kind of exercise, it really begins to kind of produce some chemicals in one's body that then naturally begins to kind of increase and affect
Mhm.
one's overall mood. So that would be an example of how one's physical health and one's mental health can kind of come together nicely.
Yeah, definitely. So when you say all of that, physical health and mental health coming together, um, I think that it's important even for those like me. I live with autoimmune disease, rheumatoid arthritis,
Mhm.
and I also live with fibromyalgia. And previously, prior to having a total hysterectomy, I also experienced endometriosis
Mm,
symptoms. And I realized that a lot of times the mood that I'm in, whether it be stress or anxiety, maybe it's coming from personal life, maybe it's coming from work, whether maybe it's coming from a variety of places. I find that those are times that I can have flare ups also of my condition. Even with IBS and things of that sort, you can tend to have symptoms associated with whatever that mental state is. Stress puts a lot, can really highly impact how we're able to cope from day to day.
mhm,
And especially as business professionals, it can affect also how we're able to navigate in our businesses. So, really understanding that correlation of how our health can be impacted by the way that we feel mentally, emotionally, is a important place to start. Oftentimes, when we're addressing health issues as well, and I think that that's why integrative health is so important now. Having people to really see how everything correlates and having practitioners who are willing to work together to address the whole person, the full wellness will, is very important. So that's also why I felt that it was important. The first thing this year is to have an event like the Set the Vision to Thrive Vision Board and Mental Health Workshop, because even though mental health awareness month is in May, we need to be addressing it year round. So why not start in January?
mhm.
It was having this workshop. I felt having bringing people together to not just create a vision board, but also understand how setting goals are related to mental health, and how to effectively create vision boards that can help them thrive throughout 2024 and beyond is important. So on that note, as a professional, would you say our mental health really correlates with our professional or business goals as well?
Mhm. Yeah, that's a great question, actually. Uh, Going back really quickly to what you just said too. One of the things that sometimes we will tell our clients, and we use metaphors and analogies oftentimes in therapy sessions, and sometimes that's the best way to kind of pick up on a lesson. And there are times where somebody might be giving either a teaching or a workshop or a training of some sort. And it's really the story or the metaphor that we kind of walk away with and might recall later on. And so it's kind of like going in and taking a shower and just cleaning like half of your body, a part of your body, or something like that, right?
Hmm.
It really logically, it doesn't make sense. Like we wouldn't do that, right? And I think one would agree that we would leave out of the bathroom, out of the shower, and still feel like we're not fully clean. And so by just addressing one component of our overall health and really not addressing some of the other areas is essentially kind of doing that, right? And so I love that you're hosting something like this, Katina. I think it's a phenomenal idea. So in terms of this idea of goal setting, and specifically for business owners, gosh, it's so important, and there's so many books out there and articles and podcasts that really speak to this,
Hmm.
especially lately over the last few years. And so I think it's so great that there's so much material out there and resources for us to really pull from. But essentially, there's something about having a vision and what that provides us. And so, specifically, when you think about a vision, visualization, research shows that visualization actually helps with motivation and drive. So, I was reading not too long ago, there was a recent study that came out that says that athletes that utilize visualization, and there was a percentage that they gave, and I can't recall the number right now, but
Mhm.
they do a percentage better than those athletes that actually do not utilize visualization. So it
Mhm.
just shows the power of that tool for achievement and performance. And so there's something about being able to visualize the direction or yeah, the direction or path that one would like to take either one's personal life or one's business, if we're talking about in terms of professionalism. There's something powerful about visualization as a tool that we could utilize as a driving force in order to increase our performance and achievement. So that's one example of a way that, setting or visualization or, vision boards could really help business owners and professionals overall.
Exactly. I agree with it. And one of the things that I found, even through personal research that is helpful is that when you already create a vision or know what you want to accomplish, um, having that set before you can also decrease anxiety and stress, which can make it easier for you to achieve those goals. So, just creating a map of where you want to be in the future can keep you, make it easier for you to reach that no matter what types of things that may impact you. Um, try to throw you off course, by the way. So I appreciate that. So we've just given just a little taste of what to expect because throughout our program or our workshop that we're going to be having on Saturday, we're going to be discussing like those areas of life, those 7 areas of life, and how that should be included in the vision that we set for ourselves. We're going to be also talking about health and wellness. Our speaker, Cherie Harrington, who will be there, will also be sharing from her professional knowledge what has helped her, but also what helps her clients in their health and wellness journeys. And she has extensive experience in that as well. And then also, we will be actually completing the vision board workshop during that time. So, having that information as we are having those discussions will and creating the vision boards is really going to help people to now be able to successfully create, set the vision to thrive, create vision boards that can really help them in reaching their goals. And I'm excited to be doing my vision board at this event. Um, so we have Teresa Dunson that's going to be there as a vendor, and also she's my creative director. And she's going to be giving feedback in her business journey about how Vision Boards has assisted her. And we have several vendors that are going to be there as well. So I'm going to be uploading some new ones to the website very soon. We've got Daryl Jones that sent us a heart saying he's enjoying what we have in the comment section. And then we have Geneva that said, very informative. I didn't realize just how powerful visualization is. I'm really looking forward to attending the Vision to Thrive workshop this Saturday. Thank you so much. And I'm so excited to have you join. We want those who are joining us to feel free to continue to share it. We have less than one day
I
to be
know, I'm
able
so
to
excited.
join.
Yeah.
And we're 3 days away, but going on less than 3 days. But anyone who is wanting to join will need to be purchase their tickets before tomorrow so that we can add you in and get all of our numbers correct. Because as I mentioned, we're providing lunch and we want to make sure we have a great setup and all of the tools that you need to have a successful event. So thank you, Geneva, for letting us for making us a part of your Saturday and also for joining us on this live today. So one of the other things that has also been very important to me in my journey, as a business person, I started my business in 2021. And for me, I had to recognize that mental health and wellness was important. I have always been an amazing suppressor.
Mhm.
and have been able to just push it to the back of my head and move on. But
Yes.
those things you push to your back of your head
They
creep
don't go
right.
anywhere.
They
Yeah.
creep to the front sometimes, and they impact you. They
Mhm,
impact your health, impact your ability to achieve your goals,
mhm,
and also can be a huge discouragement on your journey. So that's why this year I made it my intention to, well, actually last year, because y'all, we didn't creeped over 2023. In 2023, towards the end of the year, I made it vital and an intention to really address that. And I'm so thankful,
mhm.
that I took the steps of myself seeing a psychologist, finally being diagnosed with ADHD. Y'all can't, who could believe that? And a lot of people.
There's actually
Um,
a lot of it's actually it's there's a lot of women, believe it or not, in the last few years that in their 30s and 40s that are now being diagnosed with ADHD. And it's because back in the day, our understanding of ADHD was more that it was a hyperactive diagnosis. And
mhm.
so a lot of the boys were being diagnosed with that, but the girls were slowly just kind of going under the radar. And so we're finding a lot of women actually are being diagnosed with ADHD in their 30s and 40s in this season. So very interesting. Mhm.
Exactly. But it's a blessing that we get the diagnosis and we know what's wrong and get the treatment, because ADHD can definitely cause a lot of stress and anxiety. The
Mhm.
difficulty with focusing, concentrating, making decisions can
Mhm.
really have a huge impact on you. So I always encourage people to really take the time to address those things, because even if you feel like you're doing extremely well in life, there's always room for improvement. And then there's always ways that we can start accomplishing our goals while considering our mental health and wellness, because as we've already discussed, it
Mhm.
can affect our physical health as well.
Yes, and
So,
mhm.
mhm,
Oh, I was
yeah.
just gonna say really quickly, and Katina, you're a great example of, all that could potentially happen when someone takes that one step to potentially meet with a provider, attend a therapy session, get help, create a vision board. You were able to kind of gain some understanding on, some of the things that you were really kind of maybe facing and dealing with, and gaining some clarity and understanding, and then look at everything that was birthed from that place. And so now you're going to have so many people showing up on Saturday, and really embarking on their journey. And it all stemmed from you deciding to take that step, and start your own personal journey. And so it's beautiful to see the ripple effect that can come from one person deciding that, you know what, I'm going to finally decide to take my overall, health seriously. And so, yeah, I applaud you for that.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I always want to lead by example. So it's important to me that before I tell someone else what they need to do, even though I have over 20 years in healthcare, before I tell someone else what to do and how they should do it, I want to do it myself. Even when it comes to products that I that I tried, before I recommend it to somebody, I've got to try it
Mhm.
myself. But the same thing with health and wellness. The things that I encourage people to do is because I have tried it myself, and I've seen the benefits of it. So that's why I felt to myself the beginning of this year. Mental health and wellness is important. We don't have to wait till May to alert. It really is something that we can address on a monthly, daily, weekly basis, and providing those strategies through events and workshops like these are important. Um, I'm often hosting like these, hosting larger events and things of that sort, but I wanted to do a workshop where I could bring people together and we can intimately connect on this very important topic, and also can do activities that can benefit us throughout the year, and also connect us so that we can also be able to connect throughout the year.
Mhm.
So, networking is very important. Having a community is very important, which is why I created the Inflamed Sisters Thriving nonprofit, was to provide a community for women where they can achieve their goals without sacrificing their health and wellness, where they can also find a safe space where they can be encouraged and motivated to continue to be the resilient women they are, and find ways to achieve those goals by strategies they learn from the community so that they
Mhm.
can stop hiding and start thriving. I love saying that.
Yes.
So,
Love it.
yeah. But there's also one thing I wanted to touch on.
Mhm.
Something that is important to you too is making an impact on the BIPOC community.
Uh-huh.
The people, people, women of color, people of color.
Mhm.
You are also starting. You're starting a lot of initiatives. Good evening, Teresa. So good to see you. You're starting a lot of initiatives to really help people, brown, black, all, every color that you can imagine. And it's not just what you do actually benefits everybody as a whole. But I really love the initiatives that you have in place. Why is this so important to you, especially too in the Latino populations?
Yes, that's a great question. I'm so happy you asked that. So I will say this, and it actually stems. Hmm. Okay, so let me go back to something you just said, and what you just mentioned, I think was key. You talked about the importance of bringing people together, in terms of networking and community events and workshops, and then the word that came to mind was really more so like a support system.
Mhm.
And I actually was going to say, and yes, and that's something that they can put on their vision board as something that they could potentially work on if they wanted to come Saturday, is having a relationship goal or a goal to really improve their support system if that's something that they were wanting to work on. But
Mhm.
I love this question that you just asked. And so I'll just kind of take it in a different direction. So, in regards to these specific populations that you just mentioned, yes, it is a true passion of mine. And specifically, I'll say one of our greatest strengths, I think, is that in our communities, we have recognized the benefit of linking arms. And so I think one of the things that Latino communities, African American communities, minority communities is that we have understood that in many cases, out of a place of want, but oftentimes out of a place of need,
Mhm.
the importance of turning towards each other, and really depending on one another to sustain us, to help us, to pull us through. And I think that's a phenomenal resource. I think it's a great support. I really do. I do find though that sometimes that can be sometimes that could be that has been a little bit limiting because it has left our communities in kind of a confined box, where we're just depending on our community and each other to kind of pull us through certain circumstances and situations, as opposed to really kind of stepping outside of that box and grabbing a hold of and attaining resources that are outside of that are really available to us. And so I love when there are people like us that look like us that are able to then turn around and assist the communities that we've come from, and really show our communities that there are resources outside of just support from our neighbors, that there's professional help and resources and support that can really kind of elevate them to the next level. And so I love that we have mastered the importance and significance of community. And I just can only imagine what that would be like if we are able to really incorporate some of these other pieces, like what we can do as a community and as a group. And so that's my heart and that's my passion. And so, yeah, so we'll see what happens with that initiative for me personally as I embark on this journey in 2024. But yeah, so that's kind of my vision and kind of, my purpose and my goal for that specifically. But I think we can do great things as a community if we're able to recognize that those two things can coexist. The dependency on one another, but then also taking advantage of the resources that are out there as well. I think that we can do even better things as a community.
I agree. And that's why I myself, stepped out of my comfort zone as someone just said, someone called it an ambivert, but I always call it an introvert functioning in an extroverted
Yeah.
world. Um, but I felt like I had to step outside my box because I
Mhm.
was like, I wasn't seeing anyone who looked like me having
Yes.
these types of discussions, speaking about autoimmune conditions, which impacts minority women more than any population. Specifically, Black women, it affects at a higher than most. If I, as a Black woman who lives with all of these conditions, I, as a brown Black person, whatever you want to call it, I can actually reach and connect with more people and let them know these are actually important discussions that we need to be having.
Mhm.
These are discussions that can actually save people's lives in our communities. I know there's things, lives and information that I've posted on my social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook. I do a podcast and Flame Sisters Thriving on YouTube and my blog. There have been things that I have posted that people have actually said, now I know what to ask my doctor. Now I
Mhm.
know what type of help to get. I didn't even know that this was unusual. You know,
Mhm.
like for instance, periods should not hurt. To that, no, periods shouldn't hurt. Period. People don't know. They don't know what too high. They don't know a lot of things, even the joint pain and things of that sort that people may
Mhm.
experience. And before I go any further, I definitely want to welcome Tasha Morrison. Thank you so much for joining. Regina Ferry, I appreciate you for joining as well. And Mercedes Stewart said, good evening. Good evening to you as well. I'm so glad that you're joining us in this discussion. We're having just a taste of what you can expect at our event, the Inflamed Sisters Thriving, which is supporting my nonprofit, 501c3 status nonprofit, Inflamed Sisters Thriving. This Saturday, we're hosting our first quarterly event in Brandon, Florida at the Elevate Events and Catering venue. And there we're going to be having the Set the Vision to Thrive Vision Board and Mental Health workshop. We're combining both things first thing in the year so that you can really set the vision to thrive as you address not only reaching your goals, but how your mental wellness is combined and how that also connects to your physical wellness. But as I was saying, when I started my platform, I didn't see anybody that looked like me.
Mhm.
But as I continued I started building relationships with others who are doing the same things or who were motivated to finally step outside their comfort zone and do it. There were other nurses who were like, okay, now that I see you're doing it, I can come out here and do it. I also connected forces with one of our sponsors, who is Ashley Nicole of RA Warrior Fitness. She also is a person who has autoimmune diseases and is a master trainer and autoimmune coach that is helping people who live with those conditions. And we attract people of all nationalities. But I feel like it's very important, like you said, for us
Mhm.
to be the change that we want to see also
Mhm.
within our own communities and encourage encourage our relatives, our brothers, our sisters, our friends, those who may actually be willing to listen because they see someone like them, encourage them to take better care of themselves, to stop hiding and start thriving, as I always like to say. So I'm really excited about this. Teresa also um, posted the link to the event. Y'all got like 24 hours to go ahead and register, because we're finalizing all of the plans with the food, the lunch, as well as the materials for everyone that is going to be at the event. So thank you so much for posting, Teresa. And she has the Crown Bosses who have all come through. Thank you all for coming through. I really appreciate her amazing team of amazing women who are entrepreneurs that always support us. And for those of you who are in the Florida area, we want y'all to come on through and see us this weekend at the Set the Vision to Thrive workshop. You have 24 hours, y'all, to go ahead and get register and purchase those tickets. And if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to reach out to me, or you all know you can reach out to Teresa Williams Dunston of Crown Bosses. She is going to always be there to give additional information. We got a lot more comments and things coming through too. Teresa just said, our business team is so great. We believe in working together and supporting each other. And I really appreciate the support that you all have given me. Mercedes said, I wish I was in Florida and I'd love to come. Well, Mercedes, put in the chat where you live, because we may be coming your way this year. We have plans to go to Dallas, Texas in June. And we also have plans to go to Atlanta, Georgia this year. But our upcoming places in 2025 will be North Carolina. And we have had a request to come to Chicago. So I am going to do that. Mercedes is in Michigan. Okay, so Detroit, girl. Let me know. I got some friends up there in Detroit. You're welcome. It's my pleasure to have you all here. And I hope you're seeing your comments as I flag them as well. So that's another fun thing when you do it through StreamYard. You get to, have those comments coming through from different locations and sites and people joining. So she says, I'm about an hour from Detroit in the capital city of Lansing. Okay. That sounds like a great place to come to. I don't know how close it is. I'm going to Delaware to an event the end of this month. So I look forward to making some plans with you in Lansing, Detroit. And feel free also to check out the Inflamed Sisters Thriving website. There you're going to learn about what our mission is and how we are working to help women all over the nation. And the world is our desire too, and building a community where you can thrive at very low cost. Look at Teresa talking about we going. We'll have a talk about that later. So Natalie, as we are, continuing this discussion and going through, I want to is there anything that you wanted to share that we haven't touched on quite yet? What's coming through your mind?
Yeah, no, you've asked some phenomenal questions actually. So I was already excited about Saturday, and I'm looking forward to it even more. But as a mental health counselor, there are just so many things that we specifically kind of focus on. And so I could talk for hours really about ways that mental health and vision boards really kind of align. But one of the things I was going to say earlier, because you mentioned the word stress. And so and that's key. That's something that we do discuss oftentimes in counseling sessions, is just stressors and what those stressors are. What are some of those triggers that might be causing some of those stressors? And then of course, ways to kind of cope with that in a healthy way. And so, sometimes people might think that something like this, like a vision board, is something fun to do, something lighthearted, a time to kind of come together and, just have a good time out. And yes, it's all of those things. But as a mental health provider, I look at it and I just at the idea of a vision board, and there's just so much depth to it. So even the idea of stress, and how to handle stress, some of the ways that we typically would recommend handling stress would be mindfulness. So that would be one example of really how to cope with stress in a healthy way. And when I think of mindfulness, the definition of that is to be present, to be fully present in that specific moment. So to join your physical body and your emotional being in the same space. And so when you're doing a vision board, that's essentially what you're doing, is that you are allowing yourself to be mindful and to be present in that moment. And so, when people are coming together on Saturday and having fun and bringing their magazines and all of their art supplies and just having a really good time, yes, all of that stuff is happening, but there's so much more that's happening also too. And, one of those things would be that is that they're beginning to develop the habit of being mindful and being present and allowing themselves to be able to join together the physical presence and the emotional presence. And the reason why that could be really helpful is because whenever there is, so going to the stress, whenever there is a stressor or something that is identifies it as a stressful situation, one's body, tends to kind of respond. So the adrenaline kind of rises. There's the whole fight or flight thing that happens, right? So we get kind of stressed out, and your body physically begins to respond to that. And so, when you're present and you're mindful in that moment, what you're doing is you're focusing on what's happening right in front of you. And because we can only focus on one thing at one time, then that means, because you're intentionally focusing on what you're doing in that moment, and then that means that you are also deciding not to focus on everything else. And
Mhm.
so that naturally then begins to kind of de-escalate whatever's happening in your body at that time. So it is a technique that we utilize. There are different ways to practice mindfulness, but essentially what they're going to be doing on Saturday is something that we would actually be recommending in a counseling session. So those kind of pieces are really some of the things that I think about when I think of vision boards as a mental health counselor. Mm.
Wow. So she has dropped a lot of knowledge for you, entrepreneurs, women who are, or any woman that is currently stressed, why it's going to be important for us to create vision boards, why it's going to be important for us to practice mindfulness and be present in the moment. That was one of the problems that I had in the past, was that I was not able to be present in a moment because I was thinking about 200 things at a time. And now I'm in a space now that I don't stress myself out about the 20 other things I could have been doing in that moment. I take it one step at a time and I push whatever needs to be to the next day, and I learn how to prioritize more effectively. And that's what a vision board should help you to do as well.
Mhm.
So I have enjoyed this conversation, and I'm so glad that I met you. I want to let y'all know once again, Natalie Rosado is a licensed mental health counselor. I came in contact with her on Instagram. I saw um, Tampa Counseling Place. I saw Tampa Counseling Place on as the site of her name of her page, and I was like, "Wait a minute, did that say Tampa? Oh, we are close, so we need to come together." Because really, I think it's also important for us to all connect more so locally.
Mhm.
I connect with a lot of people all over the U.S., and one of the challenges that I was having was connecting with people right here, who could really benefit from the things that I'm doing. So that's why I started doing the in-person events to provide an opportunity. I know that the big C scared a lot of people inside, but it's okay to come outside, safely, where you can, have enough space between each other wash them hands and things like that. But it's okay for us to come together. And that's why I'm doing that. Another reason was why because I learned that through research, it shows that women progress. They actually function better, progress in their health, their well being, their businesses, and their careers in life when they come together,
Mhm.
when they build a community. These are things that are important for us. So, creating a sisterhood, creating a community is what Inflamed Sisters Thriving is all about, and we'll continue to create those by also doing in person, also virtual events, but really allowing women in our community to come together, get to know each other, start to collaborate, network. There's so many people that I have networked with who I've had collaborations with, who I've had opportunities to do things that I never imagined I could have done. A lot of the work I do in my consulting, a lot of work I do through my nonprofit and things of that sort. The things I've learned by just having a conversation. So when someone messages you in your DMs before you are like, this is spam, oh, this somebody just trying to sell me something, or this is somebody crazy. I always lead with I would like to see ways that we can expand our network and collaborate with you. That's what I do when I connect with women and I research, the things that they're doing and things like that, or I think of ways that I can help them. Don't think it's spam or somebody trying to sell something to you. It may be someone who can actually be beneficial to you, your life, your health, your business, and that's all I want to do. And that's why I created my nonprofit too, was because I wanted to make it affordable and accessible to as many people as possible. So, girl, we've got so many things coming through. We've got great information from Teresa. She also said effective prioritization.
Mhm.
Right now, my tongue's not working because it's the end of the day. Antoinette Miller said, "Hello, ladies." And Also, Teresa says Tina Antoinette Miller joined in. You met her and her family in Washington, D.C. Hello, how are you doing? We are Inflamed Sisters Thrive and Nurse Led Essentials. We had a trip in Washington to D.C. earlier this year. Antoinette, make sure that you reach out to me. I'd like to connect with you. We got to come back to D.C. And collaborate on some things. So feel free to reach out to me. I'm easy to find. Nurse Loves Essentials or Katina Morrison, one of those. And let's chat. So I've talked about the purpose of this event. I've introduced you to our mental health expert, Natalie Rosado of Tampa Counseling Place. Girl, you thought I was going to mess up on it again.
We'll get to by Saturday.
I know when it's a couple of words coming together, I'm gonna forget one. Um, but I've introduced you to her. She's an amazing woman who is doing a lot in our community to help so many. But her passion is for people of color, for the people, minorities, for people who really need this type of information from people who look like them, who can really help them and understand their cultural backgrounds, understand where they come from, because that also is a problem in medicine today. Oftentimes, our practitioners don't understand us culturally, so it's difficult for them to really understand the best treatment processes for us. So I believe that's very important. Teresa said she's my VIP from California. Oh, yeah, absolutely love her. We have to do an event in California. Yep. All right. So it's not DC. We met her while we were there, but she is one of my sister's business partners that are out in California. So it's so good to see you again. Now I can see your face a little bit more on your picture. So, Natalie, I'd like you to, give us some closing words. Tell us about what's going on at Tampa Counseling Place, how they can benefit from your services, and then I'll close with something too.
Yes, yeah, no, I really appreciate the opportunity for this, and it's been great, and I didn't know that was I learned something today too. I didn't realize that research shows that as women, when we come together, that's how we're strengthened.
Mhm.
And so I don't know, you just planted that seed, and I'm going to do a little bit of research and reading up on that and really kind of see why. But I believe it. I think there's something about us gathering together and lifting each other up and edifying each other and encouraging each other, and also recognizing that um, we don't have to fall into the comparison trap, but instead realizing that I may have a strength that someone else may not have, but the woman next to me may have a strength that I may not. And by coming together, we're able to join the resources, and there's power in numbers. And so I really am super excited for Saturday, and looking forward to not only sharing, but also receiving as well. And so I'm
Mhm.
really excited about that. And this whole topic has really kind of ignited in me passion for vision boards again. Actually, I had done that a long time ago for many years, and life just gets super busy, that. And so over the last few years, I've not really done that, and so I'm looking forward to being a part of the experience on Saturday. But yeah, I at Tampa Counseling Place, as I mentioned, it really is built on my heart, which is to essentially provide services for as many people as possible without losing the feeling or the luxury of private practice. And so, in addition to accessibility and diversity, one of the other components that I really wanted to do, and so many people tried talking me out of it when I was building the practice, and that just doesn't happen very easily. And so I just kind of plowed through. And one of the things they were telling me not to do was to apply for insurance panels and deal with all of that because it's such a hassle. But I knew that accepting insurance for our community was going to be significant. And
Mhm.
so that's one of the things that makes us different as well. And so, yes, we are a private practice. And yes, we provide that individualized and personalized attention. But we accept insurance. And so, that goes along with what I wanted to make sure that we continue to live up to, which is providing as many services to our community as possible. And so it's been such a journey. It's been a phenomenal journey. And so I'm definitely looking forward to what this year has to offer us. But yeah, thank you so much for this
Me too.
opportunity. I'm excited for it.
You're welcome. And see, literally, we've got to come together. This is something that we can do on a monthly basis is have these discussions because it can be our way of, on a monthly basis, sharing with our audiences for free a lot of expert knowledge that we all need. Shandell Terrell came in. Good evening. It's good to see you. I believe this is one of our Lakeland uh one of our Lakeland followers, and not just followers, he's doing a lot in the community as well. I see you on Facebook. So we're sharing this through LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube at the same time. And I appreciate everyone that has been joining. So I want to make sure that you are all following Natalie and myself. I am Katina Morrison. On Instagram, you can find me as Nurse Loves Essentials on Facebook, and Katina Morrison and Nurse Loves Essentials and Inflamed Sisters Thriving. My 501c status, C3. Y'all, it's too late right now. But my nonprofit organization on LinkedIn and most platforms. So, and what is your username, or how can they
Yes.
find you?
So it's Counseling with Natalie, and
Hmm.
then it's Tampa Counseling Place.
Okay, so counseling with Natalie and
Mhm.
Tampa Counseling Place. So make sure that you all are following her And make sure that you look that you join us on our next topics that we share together, as well as join us this Saturday in Brandon, Florida, um, at the
Elevate.
Teresa, help me.
It's Elevate, right?
Yes, Elevate Events and Catering, location in Brandon, Florida. It is actually a Black-owned event space. One of the things that I try to do is support as much as I can, minority businesses, whether they're my caterers, whether they're the event space. I was thankful that I found an event space that was owned by a minority person. It's really actually rare that you can find it, because in many cases, my larger spaces don't tend to be, but they are very supportive of what I'm doing for the community as well. But I always like to support as much as I can our community. So they're a young couple who have a beautiful event space, and it was perfect for the workshop and what we're doing, which is going to be hosted this Saturday, the 6th, at Elevate Events and Catering. It'll be hosted from 11:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. And we'll be creating having a vision board workshop, mental health talk and workshop as well. We'll be providing lunch to those who attend, and we'll also be having some special goodies. We have a raffle, y'all, and you're able to buy those raffle tickets ahead of the event by going to our fundraising site. And you can visit my website in order to find the information as well. So we want you to join us. We've got a lot of gifts, vendors, etc. Whatever the case is, come and see us. Thank you all who have hung in there with us, who have come in. Jamila joined us as well, coming in with the purple hearts. You know, that is my color. I should have wore it tonight. Teresa put in counseling with Natalie, as well as Elevate Events and Catering. As I mentioned, it's located in Brandon, near the Brandon Hospital. And all the details, reach out to me if you want to support in any way. And any donations or contributions that you make are actually tax deductible, because our charity is 501c3. Yes. So status. All right. Thank you all so much. We are going to end here. Natalie, you're going to stay behind with me so that we can have a little, discussion after this. We're on StreamYard, y'all. And I look forward to seeing you all. Have a wonderful day. Have a good evening. Rufus just joined us. Rufus, you are going to have to catch the replay, my friend. He is the host and executive producer of the RH3 show. Catch him. Amazing content on there. You get some good laughs too. But I also believe it's a lot of things he's doing. So check him out too and make sure that you're following him. All right, y'all. Have a good day. I promise this is it. Bye, y'all. Take care.